In this episode, Eric and I discuss sniping in Ukraine, the proliferation of thermal drones, the death of the tank, still, Silicon Valley executives joining the U.S. Army, getting blown up while doing your business in the outhouse, and more. Okay, let's go.
Conflict, politics, military-industrial complex, technology, war. The Flash Traffic Podcast.
I know that, Remember when I was in Germany with the Ukrainian snipers, they were using 308 Winchester.
Interesting. Do you know what weapon systems they were using?
I can't remember the name of the gun. It was a German gun rifle. I don't know.
Was it semi-auto?
They had the Barrett 50 cal too.
Very common.
This was semi-auto.
Was it H&K?
It was not. I would have remembered that.
Was it flat earth?
It was not.
So I'm talking about the German rifle.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. If you say it, I might remember, but I know it wasn't those two.
It wasn't a semi-auto? It was bolt action?
It was semi-auto.
Semi-auto.
One I shot was semi-auto.
Was it kind of small, almost like an assault rifle used as a designated marksman?
It was like a pretty good sized rifle. It wasn't a Barrett, but it was a good sized rifle.
Okay, so do you say that because it had a suppressor on it?
It did have a suppressor. I might be saying that because it had a suppressor, but it seemed bigger than a M16 or an M4.
Because I know that I'm just saying it's because the German, it wasn't a bullpup, was it?
Absolutely not. It was
so
all
I know Germany has Heckler & Koch has I think it's their M1, maybe M110 squad designated sniper rifle.
It wasn't an HK because I would have remembered.
It wasn't
that.
HK. Okay.
It was in my notes. I can go back in my field notes, but
was it called Hanel? Haenal?
Maybe. Yes. That seems very familiar.
Oh, I wonder if maybe it was that.
I know for sure it was a 308 Winchester was the round that we were using to snipe.
Interesting.
Anyways.
Yeah, so for a lot of these squad designated rifles or marksman, designated marksman rifles, a lot of it is still 308, right? Because that's what, it's a squad designated. You want something kind of light. It's 800 meters or close. Now, these rifles are no joke. Like, especially if it's the German Hanel, if I'm pronouncing it right, or whatever it was. If it's German, very well designed, very well engineered.
I'm not a sniper.
Had some glass on
obviously.
Top. They probably had good glass.
It did. I'm not a sniper. I sat down and I was hitting headshots at 700.
Really?
And I'm not a good sniper. And granted, they were adjusting. They had the range card, and they were adjusting my fire for me on the target. So you can, with the modern rifle, 308 Winchester, at least whatever this was, you could just sit down, get right behind it, start plinking at 700.
And it had a suppressor.
It had a suppressor, and it had almost no kick that I remembered. I might have had adrenaline, and I didn't even realize
a lot of these don't have a lot of kick.
Yeah.
But that's like the typical designated marksman is a 308 round. But man, they pimp these out. We're talking high-end scopes, the best, latest suppressors.
You can go down to, like I've told you, like I've said before in this podcast, you can go down to the corner store, the magazine in Ukraine, and you can buy whatever you need. You buy whatever glass, whatever red dot, just buy it right there. They have these military supply stores all over the place.
Because you can get them easily. They're legal.
Glass is the cool sniper way of saying scopes. Yes.
Right. You can. Right. This stuff is a lot of stuff is crowdsourced. There's like dedicated crowdsourcers on social media that buy every type of sniper rifle you can imagine, ammo, scopes, suppressors. So I think just from like my overall analysis, I got to do more. This is probably the deadliest environment for sniping we've ever seen in a war. Just the volume of it.
Just because it's so prolific.
And well, and the quality of weapon systems. Like back like in the early 2000s after 9/11, like I was on a special forces urban warfare team. We always use suppressors. Like we had to like argue or convince people of the advantages of using suppressors. Like it was debatable. All these sniper systems you see, almost every one of them has suppressors.
You don't need a suppressor. That's going to affect your marksmanship. You don't need an FPV drone. You don't need an FPV drone. That's bullshit.
Actually
They're not going to
improve your accuracy. It acts as a barrel dampener, but also it helps protect your position and not give it away with a huge explosion from a muzzle blast. But you're a proliferation of well-engineered, excellent sniper systems from the West. Incredible glass.
Thermal scopes.
Cheap
thermal scopes.
Are prolific.
You can get a thermal. I can get a thermal scope for my rifle for $2,000. Yep. $2,000. Might not be the best,
too,
but it's good enough at 500 yards, 700
yards.
So
this overall proliferation of sniper weapon systems and everything that goes with it is available. It's publicly available to Ukraine, also available to Russia.
And Americans, and MAGA, and the liberal extreme left. Everyone can get it. Everyone can be a sniper. And we're not even talking about...
Anyone can be a sniper, true.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about automated targeting systems on the sniper rifles now that make you a perfect sniper. The laser designator things. They have the rifle that has the laser designator, and maybe I can get a clip of it, maybe for another podcast. But you put the laser, the dot, on the target, hit a button, hold the trigger down, and the computer does the firing solution for you. And it fires when the solution has been met.
Interesting.
That's everything. That's the Borealis effect,
wind,
the wind, the humidity. That's everything into the computer. It gives you the solution. It does. Yeah, it doesn't fire. Doesn't fire the round until the solution has been met.
Interesting.
So you're a mile out shooter, and you've never shot a gun. It's just a computer.
Interesting. Now, also, there's a trend. I don't know if I caught on tape before about the trend towards much bigger rounds. Like I said, 308 used to be common, not anymore. 300 Win Mag is common. 338 Lapua Magnum is common. 375 Shaytac.
I don't even know what most of those are.
Right, these are just different kind of rounds. Where there's 375, there's 408, and then you're getting into 50 cals. I mean, you talk about the Barrett 50 cal. There's tons of 50 cal sniper rifles out there.
And the alligator, is it called the alligator, the Ukrainian alligator 50 cal, which has like an 8-foot barrel? What is that? Let me find a picture of it.
Probably not that long. Snipex.
Keep talking about it. I'll find
it. Snipex makes the alligator 12.7 millimeter bolt action sniper rifle. They also make I'm not going to pronounce it right, the Mama Mach, which is a 14.5 millimeter semi-automatic rifle. And then the Snipex T-Rex, nice name, is a single shot bolt action 14.5 millimeter round, but it's souped up. So you got the round size, but then you got the cartridge size. They will make these huge cartridges to like soup up these rounds, like a 300 Win Mag.
Look at this
souped up cartridge.
This is the alligator. Look how big that gun is.
The suppressor's got to be like 2 feet long.
Yeah. I mean,
these huge rifles are huge.
You said it's 12 millimeter round? I don't know what that.
So 50 cal.
Okay.
12.7. That's
12.7.
50 cal.
Yeah. Well.
So
look
you're
how
making
big
these
it is.
Huge rifles.
I'm showing a picture for people who are just listening to the podcast on audio. I'm showing a picture of the Ukrainian alligator sniper rifle, and this thing has to be 8 foot tall, 8 foot long. I'm going to say 8 feet with the suppressor.
7. Who's the person holding it? About 5.5 feet tall, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. There's no scale on any of this.
Could be 8 feet. 2 feet of that is the suppressor.
Yeah, and look at the scope. So the scope must be like 100 times scope.
Much bigger
because they're
round.
shooting out like a. What do you think? They're hitting things at like a mile.
mile plus. Well,
Oh my God.
a Ukrainian sniper,
Absurd.
using a rifle called the Horizon's Lord, 50 cal
What?
bolt action rifle, shot a Russian, I think out of a hide position in Kherson, across, is it the Dnieper? Did I pronounce that right? The Dnieper River?
It's actually pronounced both ways, the Dnipro or the Dnieper.
Dnieper. So the Dnieper River, I think he recorded the longest shot in history, and I think it was 3.5 kilometers. They said the bullet flight is 9 seconds. Yeah.
How do you see the target? How did he even see the target?
With glass that can see something 3.5 kilometers away.
What?
No, excuse me, 3.8 kilometers. 9-second bullet flight. He is considered to hold the world record for the longest sniper shot in human history. The one before was held by a Canadian sniper team in Iraq. Who targeted an ISIS team, and I think they whacked a dude at about a little bit over 3.5 kilometers, and that was the record before.
Yeah,
but these big rounds that can shoot miles, and hit somebody.
Here we go. Ukrainian sniper breaks the world record with 3.8 kilometer shot using Horizon's Lord sniper rifle.
And again, if they show insert massive rifle.
That is not a. I mean, what is that? Maybe that's not the one he used. Look at that thing.
What do you mean?
It is. Oh, it's 50 cal.
Right, bolt action. You're looking at this from an angle. You're not seeing the full length of it. To you, from the picture, it looks short. It isn't.
Yeah, I guess the alligator looks more impressive because it's 8 feet long with a 2-foot suppressor.
Pull up the picture of the Horizon's Lord with this guy holding it. It's 8 feet tall.
Well, I just okay. Let's see. Let's see if there's a.
There's a picture of him like in an apartment on his couch. No, it's massive. That angle made it look like a normal rifle. It isn't, dude. It's 8 feet long with a suppressor. So you got these massive. So you used to call these anti-material rifles. Right. I don't think you can call them that anymore. Where they're designed for taking out vehicles, light armored, Birdums, armored Humvees or whatever. They're using it to shoot people now, commonly. Like you can't say it's an anti-material rifle. I think that's a classification for sales. Like the Barrett 50 cal is considered an anti-material rifle. I'm not shooting people. I'm shooting armored vehicles.
It's that bullshit Geneva Convention thing where you're not supposed to, which is complete horseshit. You're not supposed to shoot people with a large caliber weapon because it is it's
inhumane.
It's inhumane, suffering. That's bullshit. First of all, I mean,
well, that's how Full Metal Jackets came about. That using dum-dum bullets or exploding bullets or really hollow points or soft-nosed bullets.
They have glass bullets.
Okay, I'm sure they have gallium bullets too. But it was it would cause horrific injuries. But a Full Metal Jacket is less horrific. But I can drop a 155 millimeter artillery shell on your head, and that's okay. Now, it's humans trying to manage the inhumanity of slaughtering each other. Just like you do away to flamethrowers and you can't use white phosphorus and it's horrific.
Or anti-personnel landmines.
There you go.
That Ukraine apparently, I did not even know Ukraine was, signatory to the anti-personnel landmine, whatever Oslo Accord. But this week, Zelensky said that they're pulling out of that.
Of course.
And does that mean that Ukraine did not have anti-personnel landmines? Because I know Russia did, but I thought they were not. I thought they were using it before.
They were just officially. Well, just because you're you don't break something you signed.
Yeah, I know, but
I mean,
Ukraine is supposed to take the higher road.
Yeah, bullshit, dude. You're defending your country from an invasion. I'm using everything I got. I got anti-personnel mines in a warehouse. Dude, that shit's getting distributed.
Yeah. Well, that's why the Baltics and Finland are withdrawing from the anti-personnel accords because it's one of the best ways to defend a border. I mean, it's a great way. Landmines.
What about like fast cams?
Yeah.
Like, artillery delivered
Well, sure.
anti-personnel. I mean, are you going to restrict yourself from that?
No, I guess it's the same thing. It's just a delivery system, right? Fast cam family of mines, scatterable mines.
Right.
It's just a delivery system for mines.
It's humans trying to mitigate how we slaughter each other. And of course, it's filled with hypocrisy and it's preposterous. And sure, but we're trying to regulate how we commit mass murder against each other. I got it.
Yeah, we're trying to justify it, but really it's absurd if you have a, aggressive country on your border. I mean, why wouldn't, if you want to secure that border, why wouldn't you put everything on there, including alligators?
That's why they're withdrawing from
Trump. Trump's great idea to have alligators. You can have alligators, you can have landmines. The Ottawa Convention. So a couple of days ago, Zelensky signed a presidential decree initiating Ukraine's formal process to withdraw from the 1997 Ottawa Convention, a global treaty that bans the use, production, and stockpile of anti-personnel landmines, which I guess that's separate from anti-tank landmines. But guess what? These anti-personnel landmines are going to be around forever. You're going to have Ukrainian kids losing arms and legs 20, 30 years from now. They don't go away.
Yeah.
You can't clear them all. And when it rains, when you have a flood, when
shifts.
that stuff moves downstream or it moves to some weird place. So you had cleared a field, and then the next season, guess what? A bunch of these tiny little bouncing Bettys are all over the place.
But also, if you're
war is hell.
But also, you're Russians in occupied Ukrainian territory. Hey, Russians, you're dealing with this as well. As long as you occupy it, you're dealing with the same issues.
But the Russians don't give a shit. They're not going to clear a field so the occupied farmers can, produce crops. Or
maybe they need the votes.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think so, but maybe.
Putin needs the votes.
Yeah. Well, it's all ridiculous. Hey, talking about ridiculous, this is what I wanted to talk about actually today. The first thing was this absurd thing by the United States Army, right? That they are going to, the title is U.S. tanks to get stealth paint and top attack armor. What? So apparently the U.S. Army is going to allocate $107 million for the development of things to protect tanks from getting
what?
blown up instantly on the battlefield
By
as
what?
soon as they are seen. By tons of things. Missiles, FPV drones.
So you mean drones?
Drones dropping grenades. Well, and missiles, right? And javelin type missiles.
So
the tank can't
give me
survive.
A percentage.
But, yeah.
Give me a percentage of you thinking this working.
0 to 1% chance of additional survival. Because the Army spends $100 million.
That'd be my assessment.
And this is what the Army's going to do. They're going to put advanced laser warning receivers. Okay, I'm on board with that. When a tank shoots another tank, they usually shoot a laser at it, and you got to know you're being targeted. Okay, here's the kicker. Passive armor kits and stealth enhancing coatings. They're going to paint the tank in some kind of bullshit stealth paint that reduces its thermal signature. That is absurd.
It has
Clearly,
an engine. It has an engine deck.
No, it doesn't just have an engine. It has a jet turbine engine. When I spent 6 months in the deserts of Kuwait, my GP small tent was right next to an Abrams tank. And every morning that thing would crank on and it sounded like we were on, the tarmac and a jet was about to take off. It's like a jet engine. And I could feel the heat.
You mean because it is a jet engine?
Because it is a turbine jet engine, yeah. And I could feel the heat from like 100 meters away. Is instantly. There's nothing going to protect you thermally from being sighted on the battlefield, especially now. Especially now, because drones have pretty good thermal capability. I want to show this video right here. This is an FPV drone. Let me see if I can pull it up. Maybe. Here's a video of this is just a normal FPV drone now. And that is a German Leopard tank under FPV observation. Look at that. Look at that. Look how all this stuff is just...
Is this actual strikes?
Yeah, this is Russian strikes on Ukrainian stuff. And the thermal, look at it. I mean, these FPV drones, I'll stop it there. But my point is, you're going to stick out no matter what, especially if you're a tank.
It's hard to hide a thermal
turbine
signature.
Engine.
Hard.
Yeah. With they use JP8 fuel, and they also, I guess it's dual diesel. You can pick and choose. You can use diesel or JP8 in the.
So the Russians have used thermal blankets for years, and that's part of the shtick of the T-90 is with these like complete thermal blanket kits.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any T-90s left. At least nothing within 20 kilometers of the flot.
We haven't seen any in the last year.
Yeah, maybe in a warehouse somewhere where they're like, what's the point? They're like, look, they had all these thermal blankets on it too. I know the Swedes on their, is it the CV40s? I don't know if I got that right. They're
Bradley equivalent?
Yeah, they're much better than Bradley.
How dare you?
Sorry. They have also the thermal blankets. I guess you do what you can. Are you going to bet the farm on that working? I'm not. I won't even bet $1 on it.
No. And if you're an infantry person and you have the thermal cloak, as we saw either this week or early last week, we showed a video on the podcast of the cloaks working too well, right? Because they looked completely black compared to the surroundings.
Now you're too cool. You're much cooler than the surrounding area.
Yeah.
And now you're a blob. So just to be sure, I'm going to drop a grenade on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the blanket flies off. Everyone goes running. And you're like, oh
no,
I was right.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. That thermal signature, we don't have anything right now to mask that effectively.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Here's a picture of the Swedish CV without a thermal blanket. But
that's a nice looking vehicle. Cool.
It looks like how the Bradley looks like a box. This looks like a tank, And
it's got a 40 millimeter cannon.
Yeah.
You put supersonic rounds in that, like Sabos, you will take out a T-72.
Yeah.
You don't need anything bigger than that. You're just going to get blown up anyways. Why waste your money?
You're going to die on the battlefield anyways. So
the tank is dead.
It is.
Why waste your money on it? You're not going to live.
If you don't think, we'll talk about FPV drones here in a second because there's an article I want to get to.
Oh, okay.
No, we haven't. Apparently, there's something called an FPV drone in Ukraine. Yeah, it's causing a lot of damage. We'll talk about that in a second. But I wanted to show this video. If you discount FPV drones and tanks, and you think it's a bunch of bullshit, okay, that's fine. But one thing you can absolutely not discount is this American-made beauty right here, the Javelin missile. Here's a video of a Javelin missile, and I'll just play it and talk over it.
These guys are shooting another Javelin missile as a firing platform.
He is. I do not think that is in the Dash 1. That is not proper use of the Javelin missile carrier.
I'd probably lose my shit if I saw that.
That's right. He should not be doing that. But look, here's the video. He's shooting a Javelin.
At what?
And who knows?
I can't even see anything
on the horizon. You can't even see it.
Is that even in the range?
It must be. It must. I mean, he hit it. It exploded. Apparently, according to the video, he hit it. You can't see it. Maybe with their optics on
What's
the
max
Javelin
range?
I used to know. Now I have to chat GPT it. The max range of the Javelin. What do you think it is?
3 miles.
Ooh, that's a little far.
I was going to say 2 miles, but like, I can't even see. I'm like, that could be Photoshop. That mushroom cloud could be Photoshop. It's so far away.
It could be. The latest version is 4,000 meters.
Oh,
so
pretty good range.
It's pretty good. It's not 3 miles, but it's pretty good. Pretty good range. So yeah, if you don't believe that FPV drones are going to destroy everything on the battlefield, well, at least the Javelin will. You don't want to be in here.
So just think if you're the tank, you don't even know you're being targeted. You have no idea what's coming. You can't see it. You can't hear it. You have no understanding. You just made the mistake of getting seen by a surveillance drone a mile above you. You didn't even know that was there. There's no defense to this. The Javelin almost never misses. Rarely.
No, it's not, and it's got top attack. But according to this article, the Army is going to put passive armor on the top. Okay, great. The Abrams already weighs 60 tons. How much armor are you going to put on the top? I mean, this is it going to be a cope cage too? Because you're just going to have you're not going to fix the gap between the hole and the turret. How are you going to do that?
That's the thing. They hit you in the crease. What about the engine deck, where basically the exhaust? That's where you're going to hit it. You're going to hit them in the engine deck.
What about the exhaust? It's going to go banana right up the tailpipe. It's gonna be like Luke Skywalker shooting the Death Star right in that
poop chute.
The poop chute of the Death Star. That's the nerd Star Wars nerd term.
We've made the best weapon system in the galaxy. Oh, except for this one thing where you can annihilate us. Anyway, let's not talk about that.
What? And the old joke is, why don't they just put a piece of plywood in front of that hole?
Well, it's got to have exhaust.
Something. But does it have to be open?
Small engineering flaw. Raytheon probably made the Death Star.
This is Star Wars crap. I'm not going to get into Star Wars nerd stuff. Hey, just to finish up on this, the U.S. Army has to do something about the tank is dead. So they're coming up with stupid ideas. And go ahead.
So I want to talk about that. But this is de facto recognition that the Armored Corps says, hey, we got a problem. And now we're trying to come up with stuff to try to deal with this.
They're trying.
They're putting a Band-Aid on a, amputated leg. They're trying, but they recognize they got a problem, and it still isn't going to work.
But shouldn't they prototype and test this stuff out and try to, before they just drop 107 million? Okay,
think about what you just said.
That's ridiculous. I know.
Think about what you just said.
I'm being absurd.
It's almost like you were never in the military.
By
saying stuff like that. Okay,
you're being absurd. Just to end this segment on the tank, trying to protect the tank on the battlefield, which is futile. I just want to play this video of.
Looks like an expensive radar system.
Yeah, this is a lot of expensive stuff. This is the S-400.
Oh.
Another S-400. Look, I'm playing a video of just FPV
radar system
with thermal imagery. And these are drones that are going to be destroyed. They're FPV. They're kamikaze drones. And that, my friends, is the state of nature on the battlefield, where the cheap $2,000 Chinese drone, because it has thermal, can do everything, and it's going to destroy you. So good luck painting your tank.
How much do you think that cost that we just saw right there? How much do you think the price was?
Oh, in S-400 launcher systems?
And associated radar systems.
Ooh, that probably just cost the Russians about $300 million.
I was going to say that's in the hundreds of millions of dollars right there.
300 million destroyed by $2,000 cheap Chinese piece of
And
shit
a
with
couple
thermal.
minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Couple minutes. And, the Army not going to give up that tank, right? It's NIMBY, not in my backyard, not in my tank, not in Nimba.
Not my tank in my backyard.
Nimba, not in my back armor. Anyways, it's another ridiculous U.S. Army thing. What I wanted to talk about, and this kind of dovetails, segues into this next article. This is an article on War on the Rocks, which I basically consider a piece of shit.
Oh, geez, here we go. Can't you give anyone any credit, for God's sake?
I can't. I mean, it's okay, but for the most part, it's garbage. But here's a War on the Rocks article, and the title is, I'm sharing it right now. The title is, I fought in Ukraine, and here's why FPV drones kind of suck.
Ooh, very intellectual.
Yes, and the author is Jacob JHK, who is a PhD student, I guess, in Bulgaria or somewhere. But when I first read this, I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm not going to believe any of this when I read the title. But then I read the article twice already, and I'm like, this guy has some good points. He's got some good points that I have seen personally validated in Ukraine. That, these Chinese FPV drones are not the best weapon, especially not the best weapon for NATO. He says that they don't fly well in weather, which I have seen that, especially when it's freezing.
Yes, an aircraft.
Mavics and FPVs don't fly well.
It's a miniature aircraft.
Yeah.
No shit.
I saw it in Sumy. I saw it in December, right on the Russian border. They couldn't fly a lot of these FPVs and Mavics because they just iced up. Plus the optics. Here's another thing. The optics fog and ice up. So you can't see shit. So you can't fly. Weather is a consideration.
Right.
He also says they are hard to fly because they're hobby drones, right? They don't have, if you buy, now this is FPV, not a Mavic. If I buy a Mavic, a new Mavic, that thing will stabilize itself. It will hover. It will follow a target itself, right? So this is not a Mavic drone dropping grenades. This is an FPV hobby drone from China, flying at high speeds. It goes 100 miles an hour. The picture right here, this picture doesn't even have a payload on it, right? It's just it just has the battery and the accoutrement, but not the payload, the explosive. But yeah, I think he's right. It takes a lot of time to learn how to fly an FPV drone, and we've seen a lot of videos of FPV drones just missing, right?
But apparently, they've figured it out.
They figured it out for the most part. I still think it's difficult to fly, but
Sure.
They have trained pilots. I mean, these pilots, that's why you want to kill the pilots. That's why you want to kill, as Frankie Matisek says, you want to kill the smart Russians, the Russian pilots.
Overall, they've figured it out. They've overcome it. They use it in such mass and volume.
Yeah.
Russia's been demechanized across the flood.
It's like 45% success rate, whatever we said, if you get on target, and that's okay because you got 100 of these in the room.
How many artillery rounds miss? How many times you fire a rifle and miss? Probably most of the time.
If you're
45%
an artillery round, you're trying to kill if you're trying to kill a piece of armor or like an APC or a tank, an armored personnel carrier or a tank with an artillery round, probably you'd have to fire, I don't know, I'm just guessing 155 rounds.
I don't know about that.
I'd say if it's moving, you can't hit it while it's moving.
Yeah, there's an issue. Yeah, I got it.
But an FPV drone can hit it while it's moving, right?
Right. So I'll take that 45% about half the time. I'll take that over probably about almost every other weapon system.
Plus, it's cheaper than a 1.5. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
you
it's not
missed
cheaper than
once
a
out of
1.55 round,
twice.
but
Who cares?
yeah, but it's definitely lighter. I can carry a bunch of these in my truck, my pickup truck. How many 1.55? Plus, you got to move them. It's hot in the summer. I don't want
So
to carry
you
all
can
those
just
around.
take it out of your backpack and fly a drone. You're not taking a 1.55 round out of your backpack,
Nope.
and then the howitzer that goes with it.
So Jacob JHK goes on to say,
Okay.
there is no electromagnetic spectrum deconfliction, and I
Correct.
think he's absolutely correct. If I'm flying a drone on a certain frequency, it's not a fiber optic drone, so it's commanded by radio waves. And I fly next to somebody else, who's to say those aren't going to get mixed up, right? Electromagnetic deconfliction. You don't have someone saying, okay, you unit on my left, you use these frequencies. You unit on my right, you use these frequencies. No, there's no way. And I have seen this actually happen in person, where I was sitting in the talk in Sumy, watching an FPV drone fly over a Ukrainian Bradley, and that Ukrainian Bradley's electronic warfare suite knocked out the FPV drone, and it just hit the dirt. Boom.
Sure. Well, yeah.
And I saw it happen 4 times in a row. They flew another FPV drone. It flew over the same. They couldn't figure out why this thing. They thought it was just Russian jamming. Turns out it was Bradley Electronic Warfare Suite jamming, which they call REBS, Radio Elektrona Berotba, which is basically electronic warfare in Ukrainian. But yeah, he's right on. There is no deconfliction, or very little. And as a side note, there's very little targeting deconfliction.
Well, that's the good thing of doing a million of them every couple months.
Yeah, I guess.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And he goes on to say something that I have said about drones. It is kind of a dichotomy, because if the U.S. Army builds an FPV drone, it's going to cost $30,000, $40,000. It just is. We know this. Military-industrial complex, risk aversion, lots of reasons for that. He goes on to say NATO doesn't need to fly these cheap, crappy Chinese drones, because they can afford better ones with better AI, with better guidance and stabilization, with better GPS and navigation. And I think he's right. And I've always said, we're not going to fight this way because we have the money. If you've got it, flaunt it. Our defense budget for the United States next year is going to be close to $1 trillion. We can afford maybe not a lot of $30,000 FPV drones, but we can afford better ones than the Ukrainians are flying. And that's why we need to learn from this war, not to do it, but when somebody does it to us, when the next, like I've said before, the next shithole that we go into, we need to know what FPV drones they're getting from China, because China will definitely be providing FPV drones to the next shithole country that the United States invades.
Correct.
Whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Canada, not that Canada's a shithole country, Greenland. If they're smart, they're going to have cheap Chinese FPV drones blowing up Abrams tanks with stupid stealth coating, which doesn't really work, which is absurd. And coke cages.
But this is maybe just a step in the armored vehicle core everywhere that maybe this isn't really going to work out like you think it is. Like your defenses or lack of defenses really aren't that good. Maybe they're coming to the realization, maybe you do have a problem. Maybe you need to do something different. Maybe you need to figure something out.
No war is ever like you plan, right? The first thing that you throw away is the plan. And planning is the most important thing, not the plan. Blah, 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 a bunch of army cliches. But what you do not want to happen is to get into some situation where you didn't foresee this happening, but it's so bad so quickly that you get decimated immediately by FPV drones.
It's interesting. I've been I've been doing some research on the war in Donbass, 2014 to 2022, largely static trench warfare, mostly rural, but some urban characteristics. Drone warfare was already starting, and it was mainly used by the Russians, and it was the Ukrainians trying to play catch up. It's interesting to see that most casualties were caused by artillery. The next single biggest casualty producer was snipers. Snipers were used extensively in the Donbass. And in some areas, that was the main characteristic of the war, was the sniper war between both sides, where Russia generally had the upper hand until maybe the later years, where Ukraine actually developed a professional sniper corps, started to get high-end equipment, started to train their guys. It was probably equaled out towards the end. But it's interesting that reading this one period of time, I think it was over like 2 years, there was like 338 casualties. 7 casualties were from drones. Now, I don't know the specifics. Were they dropping hand grenades or explosives or hard for me to think they were FPV drones at the time. But that drone warfare was already underway in the Donbass. Ukrainians are like the Russians, are far ahead of us in this technologically. Interesting how some of these potential lessons were out there in this microcosm in the East, and how this stuff has exploded, and the kind of the sides have flipped now when it comes to drone technology. And I say even with snipers, I'd probably give Ukraine the upper hand with its sniper corps. That's flipped since the war.
Just to be clear, dropping grenades from drones did not start in the Donbass. It started in Syria, where they were putting the little tennis, badminton birdies on grenades and dropping them to stabilize them. But yeah, there's probably only a few Ukrainian movies that I would recommend with subtitles. And one of them is called Sniper, the Raven. It's about a sniper, a guy who loses his family and becomes a sniper in the Donbass in 2014. That's one I would recommend if you can find it on Netflix. Sometimes it's on Netflix.
Is it like a documentary, fictional, or what?
No, it's a fictional movie about this guy's experiences being a sniper, and you can find it on Apple. You have to find it on Apple TV. That's the only place you can find it in America.
Okay.
Oh, don't poo-poo. Just get the movie. Don't be like that. Interesting note, the word for sniper in Ukrainian is sniper with a R. Sniper.
Thank you for dropping that knowledge on us.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's move on. I want to talk about this just briefly. Just briefly, I want to talk about this. And anyone who has spent a career in the United States Army, anyone who is not a lieutenant in the United States Army will realize that before you join the United States Army, perhaps you should know what the fuck you are getting into.
I don't get this. Is this from the Onion?
It is not. It is not. Let me explain this. The title of this article that I'm showing on the video right now is called "Tech Executives Commissioned as Senior Army Officers Won't Recuse Themselves from DoD Business Dealings." Let me explain this. These tech executives, probably making $500,000 a year or more, decided to join the Army because they wanted to be closer to the country. What I don't know. I don't know why.
What rank are they?
They're commissioned as lieutenant colonels in the Army, and this has to do with DI. This has to do with DIU, so Defense Innovation Unit, that is in charge of finding new technology, bringing it into the Army, applying it. These tech executives.
Why can't they be civilian positions? Why they got to be in uniform?
Man, I don't know what the thinking is. I don't know what the thinking is. But they will not recuse themselves, as if it even matters in this administration. If you recuse yourself from anything, to do with anything with the government, as if that even matters. But they're not going to recuse themselves from DoD contracts that they both deal with in the military now as green suiters, as lieutenant colonels, as maybe the COTAR, the contract technical representative, whatever. They will also be dealing with it in their civilian capacity as what, the vendor, like the company that supplies to the army. So there's a conflict of interest right there. But not that it matters. None of that shit matters. Because
not the Trump administration. The entire Trump administration is a conflict of interest.
Trump is selling perfume and cologne now. He's sold Bibles. He's selling whatever, Bitcoin, the Trump coin. Not that any of that matters. What matters is these morons join the army, and what they don't realize is they're going to piss somebody off, and they're going to be sent to fucking Korea, because that's how the army.
I guarantee you they get out of it.
Well,
I guarantee you they got a get out clause.
Maybe if they were smart, but
I guarantee you they got a get out clause.
WTF? Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What the fuck?
I get it. You're trying to bring in other federal agencies. Do this. They bring in people with experience. Of a certain
Silicon
status.
Valley tech.
You can do anything you want. I mean, there's a lot of contradictions with this.
But these black down vest wearing douchebags from Silicon Valley joining the army.
They're in for a shock.
I'd basically love to get these guys, just beat them up during PT.
They're in a shock when they see how stupid the military is. They're in for an inflexible. They're in for a shock.
Not to be too violent here, but I would love to just go back into the army, join their unit, just to attend PT, physical training in the morning, with these Silicon Valley bags of douche. That's all I'm going to say. That's all. What were they thinking?
You're entitled to your opinion. They want to help out. They want to make a change. I guarantee you, they're not doing PT. They're not going to Korea. Yeah. They're not deploying. None of the hardship. They didn't sign up for that. They're not doing any of that. They don't even know what this entails. They didn't grow up in the military. They don't know the system. It's a cream puff desk job. They probably think it's cool and put a picture up on Instagram, and that's it.
They do think they're cool. They think the army is cool. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's cool.
Yeah, they'll find out. Good for them. Good luck.
Yep, they're going to fuck around and find out.
I wish them best of luck.
Going back to the why FPV drones kind of suck, War on the Rocks article. I thought it was a good article after I read it the second time. And I think he made some really good points.
So drones have limitations. Anything mechanical has limitations.
Yes.
Thank you.
But at the end, when he was talking about NATO can afford to get better drones, he fucked up the entire thing at the very end of the article by guess what drone he cited that we can afford. That
Garbage
we should get
600.
This is the Garbage 600. Yes. The Switchblade Garbage 600. He ruined his entire future.
Clueless.
What? I just want to pull up a video right now of the Switchblade 600 heavy loitering drone.
Is this the propaganda video?
No. This is just a video of the Switchblade. Now the Switchblade loiters, I think it goes out to like 60 kilometers, maybe at 90 kilometers.
Pretty good range.
It glides around. It's got a pretty big warhead. I'm not going to look up the size of the warhead, but I remember it was something like 10 pounds. It was sizable. Okay, still
takes out a vehicle.
Takes out a vehicle. Okay, look, these are Russians. The video I'm showing a video of Russians. This Het Russian heavy transport got stuck in the mud on the side of the road. Here's the M88 equivalent vehicle pulling it out. I think they call it in Soviet times. They call their recovery vehicle a Brem or something like that. Okay, and that's it right there. Boom, you just saw it. You almost missed it because look at that. Here it is. Boom. What? There's your Switchblade 600. you almost miss the explosion because it's such
Is
a
that
piece of
even
shit
worth
explosion.
it? I wonder if
No.
that truck is less expensive than the garbage 600.
What?
You think
That's
the truck?
beyond the point. The
You think truck
targeting
costs
here,
$30K?
nah, that's not the point. The targeting is not the point. Target selection is not
Actually,
the meat
it
of this.
absolutely is the point, but continue.
No. Okay. The meat is the Switchblade 600 is such a piece of shit. Look at this garbage 600 explosion piece of shit. It barely.
Hit it in the cab.
I have seen FPV drones with grenades strapped with bigger explosions. I mean,
you'd have to hit that.
It's bullshit.
3 or 4 times with a garbage 600 to get what you need. Now, the price does matter. You think that truck's worth $30K in Russia?
Oh, a Het, like a Ural?
$30K.
Probably, yeah, maybe $30,000 if it's militarized.
You're gonna have to hit that 2 or 3 times. So now financially, it's not worth it anymore.
Let's say you only hit it twice.
Okay, you're an optimist. You've doubled the cost of what it costs for the truck. Financially, it's not worth it.
I'm looking up on ChatGPT right now the cost of the Switchblade 600 because
I thought it was $30K.
I think it's No. Are you out of your mind? $200,000 a piece.
It. No,
the 300 is like 90,000.
No, it isn't. We're not that stupid. We're not that stupid.
Look, here's it cites.
It's not worth it. There's your answer. It's not worth it, dude.
Let me just read this.
Not worth it.
One location on the internet cites it at $200,000 per missile per drone. So the Switchblade 600 is actually a drone, a loitering drone. $200,000 a piece. And here there was a contract for 54 Switchblade 600s that came out to be $2.2 million a piece. This 54? Is fraud.
54, will that last, what, like 30 seconds on the flop?
This is fraud.
Less than a minute. Less than a minute on the flop. I mean, you're launching these things every minute.
Yeah. If this is true, whoever is buying the Switchblade 600 for the United States Army should be put in jail.
You're incredibly stupid. And whoever's using this, whoever's involved in this product, you are incredibly stupid. You would have to hit an S300 to make this worth it. And then you'll have to hit it like 7 times.
This is a scam.
This is preposterous.
This is a scam. AeroVironment Incorporated is the producer of this piece of shit Switchblade garbage 600 loitering munition.
You'd have to be an idiot to pay for this. You have to be an idiot to pay for this. At that price, in such a small munition, like when that thing hits, I better see like a nuclear explosion when it hits. I mean, underwhelming. So your round costs 6 or 7 times more than the truck.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to anybody?
Look, if that was an actual video of the Switchblade 600, if the explosion is that unimpressive, if it does cost sometimes over $2 million a piece, if all these things are even close to being true, the CEO of AeroVironment should be in jail, as well as all his
he's a genius because he is taking advantage of the U.S. federal government, who's incredibly gullible and stupid. And then nothing about drone warfare if you think this is a viable system that makes sense. You literally have your head stuck in the sand and
maybe
read
one
nothing.
of these brand new lieutenant colonel Silicon Valley douchebags was behind the purchasing. I bet there was some connection.
I guarantee you one of them works at the company. Yeah, one of them works at the company.
I bet you there's some connection. If we dig even like an inch into this, I bet there's some connection.
This shows you how incredibly
600
stupid the U.S. procurement system is. How could anyone who even touches this say this is a good idea? You would have to know nothing about Ukraine.
Let's not even talk about the Switchblade 300, which is even smaller.
It's like a firecracker.
The Ukrainians do not they didn't like it from the beginning. They think it's a joke. Yeah.
Didn't get the
Every
job
Ukrainian I talked to that
Good.
had anything to do with that, they said that was just a joke. I mean, I'm kind of flustered now with the
Calm down. Don't let this trigger you.
Anyways, let's wrap it on a couple of happy videos. First of all, I guess this is appropriate for what we were just talking about. This is a FPV drone hitting a Russian Lancet drone and blowing it up. And why is that appropriate? Because a Russian Lancet drone is very close to a Switchblade 600. They're both pieces of shit.
Except the Lancet gets the job done.
They have
the Lancet is 10 times better than
Russians have used
garbage 600.
Anyways, here's right in the middle of the picture. Right here is the Lancet. I'll play it.
The Lancet gets the job done.
It does.
I guarantee you, it's cheaper.
Here's your loitering drone, and FPV just hits it out of nowhere. Boom.
That's pretty cool.
Tag. Yeah. Here, once again, boom. So there was an FPV.
I assume the Lancet is better in weather conditions, probably better all weather, flies higher, it's more robust.
Who knows? Have we done, side by side comparison of the Switchblade 600 and the Lancet? I know the Lancet early on in the war, the original Lancet drone had shitty optics, like terrible resolution.
I'm sure they got better stuff from China.
I'm sure they're better now. They are better now, I know for sure. But they used to, the Ukrainians made mock-ups, military deception mock-ups of whatever, a HIMARS, but they just printed it out on poster paper. Like they printed a giant poster of a HIMARS. So it's not even a 3D plywood mock-up. It was just a printing of a HIMARS. And they would put it out in the battlefield. And the Lancet would be so bad that they would hit it multiple times because they just had no resolution.
So that's slightly better than stacking car tires on top of your strategic bombers. Okay.
It's about the same. It's Russian buffoonery. It's more Russian ridiculous buffoonery.
Check.
Here's the last video I want to end on because it's funny. When Russians die, to me, call me a terrible person. But when Russians die, I think it's funny. Let me pull it up. The title of this video, and I'll put all the videos and articles in the show notes so you can access them at your leisure. The title of this video is Never Forget to Close the Toilet Door.
I've seen this.
And that is one of the rules in the battlefield. You got to close the hatch, close the window, close because the FPV would fly around. This is a Russian on the toilet. Boom. Bam. Look at that explosion. Switchblade 600 has nothing on that. Oh,
guy's still alive.
Well, for the time being.
Isn't that amazing? The dude's walking.
He walks away. How does he walk? Maybe he walks for like 5 feet. The adrenaline will keep you walking. Boom. Boom. Look at that explosion. That's just your run-of-the-mill piece of shit $500 Chinese FPV drone.
How the hell did that guy live?
I don't know.
That's the luckiest dude in the planet.
He might not have lived. Look, he probably did not live. He probably has that adrenaline going.
Good God, how's he live, dude?
Just the explosion is so massive. And maybe that's methane too, because it's an outhouse. What do you think about that?
It could be. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's methane. How's that dude walk away?
No idea. But, the adrenaline is pumping right now.
Good God.
I think he's just walking through pure adrenaline.
He's the luckiest guy in the planet. But it looks like his pants are up. So was he like on the cell phone on the toilet? Like his pants are up.
Why would you be? Those things are nasty. Have you ever been in a Russian outhouse?
Dude, his pants, I think he just sat down. So he didn't have his pants down. He wasn't taking a dump. His pants are up.
I don't know. Why would he be sitting there? Maybe his pants
look at. Look, you going to deny me that his pants are up?
No,
his
you're
pants
right.
are up.
No, you got it. That's a mystery.
Did he just sit down? It looked like he just sat down.
But why would you have your pants on when you just sat down?
I don't know, dude. He's
so
Russian.
many mysteries
Maybe
here.
He's from Siberia. I don't know their customs.
Maybe that drone blew his pants on.
Maybe. The force like wrapped his belt around him. I don't know. That's the luckiest dude in the planet. I can't explain it.
Academics and journalists will be debating this video for decades.
Many years.
It's a mystery of the war. How did this dude get his pants back on? And how did he walk out of that outhouse?
No idea.
Compare the Switchblade 600 video and that
it's
explosion to the crappy $300 Chinese drone explosion. And yes, it might be the methane. Might have had something to do with it, but who knows?
Luckiest dude in the planet.
Luckiest dude in Russia or wherever that was. Hopefully that was in Kursk. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this week. The previous podcast, I had Zarina, who is a journalist, on. I interviewed her about, she lives in Kherson, the world's most dangerous city. She lives there. I was just, what is that Batman quote? You just visit the darkness. She was born there. She wasn't born there, but she lived there. She still lives there. She's in the U.S. Visiting, but she's actually a U.S. citizen, Russian born. This is way more. Just listen to the podcast. Listen to Monday's podcast. I thought it was very interesting, gruesome. I played some video from her documentary about people getting blown up by FPV drones. And this Friday, we're not doing War Week Friday, China. We're not doing that. I did an interview with my friend John Noggle, who is a professor at the Army War College, and I did an interview with him and one of his compatriots. So check that out.
Were you guys wearing your Civil War uniforms?
He actually is a West Pointer, so we did wear Civil War garb.
Awesome. That is so awesome, dude. I thought I was just into that. That's so cool, dude.
So cool. Are you an Arizona reenactor?
Yeah. I dress like a Confederate, though. So just a bunch of shabby clothes thrown together that you found on the battlefield. Yeah.
Piece of shit. All right. Hey, if you like the Flash Traffic podcast, and we know you do,
you'll love it.
Please forward the link. And also, if you listen to this and you have not subscribed, because the downloads seem to point to that direction, that there are people that loiter in the background.
Lurkers.
And they're probably Russians. But there's a lot of you out there that have not subscribed, but you listen because you download. So let's try and get our subscribers up to 7.
Yeah.
Let's get our subscribers up to 7. Yeah, let's get it up to 7. You can't double it. How would you double to 7?
3
That's
plus a lurker.
Impossible. Well, the
lurker's one half.
They don't want to subscribe.
The Russian bot, one half.
Let's get this up. Let's get our subscriber count up to 7. I'm counting on you people. We can do it.
Let's do it. We got us.
All right.
Hands across America.
Hey, have a good weekend. It's 4th of July. Slava America. Bye-bye.
Whatever oblast you live.
The Flash Traffic Podcast.